Good morning, people. My name's Rob Knott and I've got a bit of a museum in Longford, Tasmania, as you can see, Historic Motorsport Museum, and it's currently in a temporary nature in a homestead at Woolmas Estate prior to us building a new complex. So come with me, I'll take you for a run. This is the administration room for the control tower. Here at Longford it was quite a big thing. This is all the paraphernalia out of the control tower. The last letter that McKinnon wrote, that was the closure of Longford in '68. This is a classic shot up here. This shows you the control tower, how big it was in the day. This is one of Spencer Martin's actual photos, and that's him in the 250 LM. All the programs here at Longford every year. These ones even signed by Jack over there, the 65. Longford used to pull in somewhere near 40,000 people, so it's probably the biggest sporting venue plus attendance of any other on the island. These are all the pictures. Yeah, we'd have over about 5,000 pictures, by the way, so we're getting quite a collection. And of course over here we got the long weekend at Longford. This was the camera that Brian Higgins set up in the back of the Elfin Streamliner and took the documentary. And I still think today it's one of the best docos ever taken of Longford. This is all the memorabilia, microphones, etc. out of the control tower, and lap charts, and some signatures there of Jackie Stewart, Jim Clark and Graham Hill. Right, the next room here is probably more on our locals. This is probably an all-time classic shot, this one here. 67, coming down from the water tower with Robin Pear leading Gagan, Bruno Carossi in the Jaguar. Here we got all the posters. And of course the Tasmanian Motorist magazine was a big hit in its day. They came out every month. We've got Gene Cook, it's probably one of our best exports we've got. Gene built up a heap of cars from early Holdens right through the Ford Custom lines, and then went on to race Speedway, and he's probably won more races than any other Tasmanian driver, I'd say. A little bit of Norm Beachy. When Norm came to Symmons Plains, he caused a bit of a sensation. He was a showman, definitely knew how to steer a car back in the day with that Mustang, and yeah, I've always been a fan of Norm Beachy's. Here we got local logging contractor, which was Robin Best. Robin won the first NASCAR race and also came second in the next one. He was probably one of our top drivers in the state. Went to America, bought Junior Johnson's car. He was champion in 1990 to 91, and of course the Bob Jane Thunderdome was big business when it first opened, as everyone knows. Right, these will probably be the most classic shots of Longford. You can see on the grid all the dramas taking off, and of course the touring cars here with Jim McEwen. The Neptune racing team, doesn't need any introduction, was the biggest thing I think to ever hit Australian shores. Here we got Jack, Denny Holm and Jim Clark on the front row of the grid, back in with the Brabhams in '67. Definitely knew how to open up the track around here on the long straights. It was suited to the car. Of course, reliability was the big thing on Repco's behalf. This is what I call me Jack Brabham room. We got most of Jack's books, components here off the Repco Brabham. Many thanks to Ian Tate and Nigel Tate. Fastest, these are the timesheets of Longford. Jack having the fastest on the day, taken by Betty. I've had them for I think over 50 odd years out in the chook pen, and I thought I'd bring them out. And this is my Brabham bar. Always wanted a nice looking bar, so we worked around the Repco Formula 5000 engine, which everyone can relate to. This is a Repco Formula 5000 engine. They were quite big in the early 70s with our driver John Goss and of course John McCormack. Johnny's been here, signed me tyre for me. I class John as probably one of the best drivers that we've ever had in Tasmania. One of my all-time classic Jack shots up there. I've always liked that one. It's probably one of the best of him, I think. Right, this is some of our marketing. Wine, when we opened the wine bar with the Repco Brabham and the Longford, with all our own labels and marketing. And by the way, we have the original Rice trailer at the workshop and HR, which is a replica HR, and we use that to tow around. Over here is the pictures of Jack from the Sun and the Herald. All are in the original ones that they had, and a replica of his 1960 trophy, as you can see over here with Jack with it. Quite big in the day. And this one here is former Launceston Grammar School student Frank Hallam. Frank attended school here in Launceston and then went on to Glasgow Engineering, Riemann and Manning, and then he became chief engineer, as everyone knows, of the world champion Repco Brabham engines. So it's a bit of a story that our locals here played a big part. That's a good picture of Jack getting fuelled up by Esso in the Longford pit paddock. He was always a star. Been here 7 times to Longford, Jack was. Always a crowd favourite. This one here, I've always liked this picture of Jack with the Cooper Climax, taken back in 1960. We're doing a replica of the Bob Jane Jaguar at the moment. And of course, the reason why we're doing the Jaguar is Jaguars actually ruled Longford well in the mid-60s, as everybody knows, probably ruled every track, but well, they were a big thing here in the early days. Bit more of the Repco. This is stuff in the machine shop. I used to work at Repco at 62 Patterson Street doing all the marketing, so I've managed to collect a fair bit of Repco stuff over the years. This here is the famous Mick Watt special. This is how Mick done his helmet. He was quite an innovative. He'd cut the top off a baseball cap and then tape it to the helmet, and he was the first to have a seatbelt. This is out of a bomber aeroplane, so quite innovative in the day. This is just a bit of the Gagan stuff. Quite when Big Pete came to Longford, everybody was wrapped in the Castrol Mustang at the time. A little bit more on the Repco. Early bearings and rings. For people that don't know, Repco supplied 70% of engine bearings were done in Tasmania here at the Repco Bearing Company, which opened in 49, the earlier one. Employed a heap of people. Is the engines that Repco, I think this is what really gave Repco its jump, if you like. They supplied all the engines back in the early days with the Holden, being $206 for a long motor and $138 for a 3/4 engine. This is a Repco bike. In the early days, they would sort of do all the heads and supply all the bearings and drive around to the service stations, namely Davies, Grand Central, and deliver all the parts. Right, there's a sneak peek of the Longford Historic Motorsport Museum, soon to be open. We're just negotiating at the moment, so you'll be able to see a bit of Tasmania's rich heritage in motorsport. Thank you.